In the sprawling, technologically advanced Aeon Citadel that orbits a dying star, Lieutenant Maya Jensen strode purposefully through the crowded halls of the Galactic Council's main assembly. Her crisp uniform marked her as a human delegate, distinct among the myriad species that conversed in a babel of tongues. Maya approached the central chamber, a vast, dome-like structure lined with translucent panels that depicted the cosmic ballet of galaxies beyond. She paused, her gaze sweeping over the representatives. Each delegate was a thread in the intricate tapestry of galactic diplomacy. Yet beneath this facade of unity, Maya sensed a tension, a quiet unrest that hinted at the rout within. "Lieutenant Jensen, you seem pensive today. Is humanity finally ready to yield to the Council's decision on the trade routes?" teased Ambassador Threll from Varnis, his reptilian eyes glinting with mischief. Maya offered a tight-lipped smile. "On the contrary, Ambassador. Humanity doesn't yield, it leads. We've proposed an alternative that benefits more than the top predators in this room." A murmur rippled through the nearby delegates, some nodding in respect, others scoffing at her audacity. "Bold words, Lieutenant. Let's see if your actions carry the weight of your convictions," Threll replied, his tone both mocking and intrigued. Moving past the alien ambassadors, Maya entered the data hub, a nerve center where information flowed like the lifeblood of the Council. She inserted her clearance chip into the terminal, her fingers flying over the holographic display as she accessed a secure channel. "Commander Rios, do you copy?" Maya's voice was a whisper, wary of prying ears. "Loud and clear, Lieutenant. What's the situation?" The voice of Commander Alicia Rios, her superior and mentor, crackled through the comlink. "I've intercepted communications that suggest a significant shift in the power dynamics of the Council. It seems a few high-ranking members are orchestrating a crisis to consolidate power through military force," Maya reported, her eyes scanning the data streams for further evidence. "Any proof to substantiate these claims?" "I'm working on it. But if we wait for incontrovertible proof, it may be too late. We need to act, gather more intel, and possibly expose the conspiracy before it escalates." "Understood. Proceed with caution, Maya. Remember, the Council is a nest of vipers. Trust no one," Rios warned, her voice stern. Disconnecting, Maya felt the weight of her task. She returned to the bustling corridors, her mind racing with scenarios of what could unfold if she failed to unravel the conspiracy in time. As she navigated through the diverse crowd, a figure cloaked in the shadows of an archway caught her attention. It was Zaner, a delegate from the technologically advanced yet secretive species of Xanathar. Known for their neutrality, the Xanatharians rarely engaged in council politics. "Lieutenant Jensen, a moment of your time, please," Zaner called out, his voice barely above a whisper. Maya approached cautiously, aware of the potential risks of private discussions. "Ambassador Zaner, to what do I owe this unexpected conversation? I'll be direct. I am aware of your investigation. You're not as discreet as you believe, Lieutenant. However, your goals align with ours. Xanathar prefers stability, and this brewing storm could destabilize not just the Council but the entire galaxy," Zaner explained, his face hidden within the deep hood of his cloak. "And why should I trust you, Ambassador? For all I know, this could be a trap to derail my efforts," Maya countered, her hand subtly reaching for the concealed blaster at her side. "Because, Lieutenant, we have also intercepted parts of the same transmissions. Our objectives converge for now. I propose an alliance, information for protection. We can provide you with data that will help you trace the communication back to its source." Maya considered his offer. Aligning with Zaner could provide the breakthrough she needed, but at what cost? And what does Xanathar want in return? Consider it a mutual investment in peace. Just ensure that when the time comes, Xanathar's contributions aren't forgotten," Zaner proposed, extending a slender, pale hand in agreement. After a moment's hesitation, Maya shook his hand, sealing the tentative alliance. "Very well, Ambassador. Let's see where this leads." As Zaner slipped a data chip into her palm, Maya knew she was stepping into a larger game, one that could alter the fate of humanity and the galaxy. She needed to tread carefully, balancing on the thin line between diplomacy and betrayal. With new data in hand and potential allies at her side, Maya prepared to dive deeper into the political intrigue. Her mission was clear: expose the conspiracy, prevent the crisis, and ensure that humanity not only survived but emerged as a leader in a new galactic order. As she left the dimly lit archway, stepping back into the light, Maya Jensen felt the weight of her world on her shoulders, but also the thrumming promise of change. She was ready to fight not just for humanity, but for all species oppressed by the shadowy machinations of power. Maya Jensen's steps echoed in the quieter corridors of the Aeon Citadel as she processed the information Zaner had clandestinely passed to her. The data chip throbbed in her pocket like a living thing, each pulse a reminder of the risks she was taking by trusting a Xanatharian. The contents of the chip were encrypted, a tangled maze of data that would require Maya's keen intellect and the resources of her small but trusted team. She made her way to a secluded lab, a space granted to humanity for their scientific contributions to the Council. Here, she met Dr. Lena Hart, a human cryptologist and one of the few people Maya trusted implicitly. "Lena, I need your eyes on this," Maya said, handing over the chip. Her voice was low, urgent. Dr. Hart, a woman with a sharp gaze and a sharper mind, inserted the chip into her console. Her fingers danced across the interface, coaxing secrets from the layers of code. "This is heavy encryption, Maya. Xanatharian, if I'm not mistaken. It'll take some time to crack. We might not have much time. I intercepted part of a conversation. There's a move to destabilize the Council, potentially leading to conflict. This chip could have the proof we need to expose the conspirators," Maya explained, pacing the room, her mind racing. As Lena worked, Maya's comlink buzzed. It was Commander Rios, her tone more anxious than usual. "Maya, there's been a development. Surveillance drones have spotted unusual military movements near the neutral zone. It looks like someone's mobilizing for an offensive. Commander, that might be part of the conspiracy. I'm working on getting evidence now. Any preemptive action could spark the conflict we're trying to avoid," Maya responded, her voice tense. "Understood, Lieutenant. Keep me updated. We need to play this right, or we could end up in a war no one can win," Rios replied before ending the call. The weight of the situation settled on Maya's shoulders like a yoke. She returned her attention to Lena, who was making progress. "I've bypassed the first layer of encryption. There's a series of communications between high-ranking officials from several major species. It's exactly as you feared, Maya. They're planning something big. Can you trace the source of these communications?" Maya asked, leaning over Lena's shoulder to look at the data. "It's routed through several proxies, but I think I can backtrace it. Give me a few more minutes," Lena assured her, her focus unyielding. While Lena worked, Maya's thoughts wandered to her next steps. She needed to gather more allies, other species who would be affected by the conspiracy. Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft chime from Lena's console. "Got it. The original source is from within the Council itself, specifically, the office of Ambassador Krell from the Draconis Federation," Lena announced, her tone a mix of triumph and disbelief. Ambassador Krell, a powerful figure in the Council, known for his aggressive policies and ambition. If he was involved, the conspiracy ran deeper and was more dangerous than Maya had feared. "We need to confront Krell, but discreetly. If we play our cards wrong, we could tip him off, or worse, be accused of fabricating evidence," Maya mused aloud, strategizing her next move. "Maya, if I may suggest, use the Council's upcoming session. It's a neutral ground, and he won't expect a confrontation there," Lena proposed, a strategic glint in her eye. "That's our play then. We'll need undeniable proof and public support. It's time to talk to some old friends and rivals. We need a coalition if we're going to expose this plot effectively," Maya decided, her resolve hardening. Over the next few hours, Maya reached out to delegates from various species, using all her diplomatic skills to weave together a fragile alliance. Some were skeptical, others fearful, but all were aware of the stakes if the conspiracy succeeded. As the council session approached, Maya gathered her new allies, explaining her plan in hushed tones in an unused meeting room. They agreed to support her, each for their own reasons, creating a patchwork coalition bound by mutual interest rather than trust. Remember, everyone, we need to be unified in this. The moment Krell senses weakness, he'll strike, and we must be ready to counter him immediately. Maya briefed her makeshift alliance, their faces a mosaic of alien features, each marked by determination. The group dispersed, heading to the main chamber where the council session was about to begin. Maya took her place, her heart pounding in her chest. She clutched the data chip, now loaded onto her personal device, containing all the proof of the conspiracy. As the delegates settled, Ambassador Krell rose, his voice booming across the chamber, unaware of the storm that was about to break over him. Maya waited for her moment, the future of the galaxy hanging in the balance, knowing that her next moves would either save or doom worlds. Her hand tightened on her device, the weight of her evidence grounding her. She was ready to speak truth to power, to challenge the shadows with light. Maya Jensen was no longer just a delegate. She was a defender of the galaxy's fragile peace, and she would not falter. Maya Jensen stood resolute as the council chamber buzzed with the anticipatory murmurs of countless delegates. Ambassador Krell, still oblivious to the storm about to descend, continued to address the assembly on the redistribution of resources among the border sectors. His voice, rich and commanding, sought to sway the undecided and solidify his power base. As Krell detailed the benefits of his proposal, ostensibly aimed at fostering greater unity but secretly designed to enrich his allies, Maya prepared to dismantle the charade. She discreetly signaled to her allies, disparate species united momentarily by a common cause, to be ready. With a deep breath, Maya interrupted Krell's flow with a loud, clear voice. Ambassador Krell, while your proposal sounds generous, I wonder if the true costs and beneficiaries have been fully disclosed to this council. The room fell silent. All eyes turned towards Maya, a lone human amidst a sea of alien diversity. Krell's eyes narrowed, his lips curling slightly in disdain. Lieutenant Jensen, please elucidate your concerns to the council. Maya stood, her device in hand, broadcasting her evidence to the main display for all to see. With pleasure, Ambassador. My team has uncovered that this proposal is a facade for a larger scheme. A scheme orchestrated by a cabal within this council, aimed at instigating conflicts that would necessitate military intervention, allowing certain parties, including Ambassador Krell, to seize control of lucrative trade routes and resource-rich planets. Gasps and murmurs filled the chamber as Maya's evidence scrolled across the screens. Encrypted communications, financial transactions, covert agreements, all traced back to Krell and his conspirators. Krell stood abruptly, his face contorting with rage. This is preposterous. These accusations are based on falsified data, an attempt by Earth to undermine this council's authority. But Maya was ready for this. This data has been verified by multiple sources, including neutral parties not aligned with Earth. Furthermore, I have here testimony from a member of Krell's staff, compelled by conscience to come forward. A figure stepped out from the crowd, a member of Krell's delegation, confirming Maya's words and presenting additional evidence that detailed the planned execution of the scheme post-approval of the proposal. The chamber erupted into chaos, with supporters of Krell shouting accusations of betrayal and deception, while others called for immediate sanctions and a thorough investigation. Amidst the uproar, Maya remained calm, her gaze fixed on the council's president, an aged diplomat from a species known for their wisdom and fairness. President Athon, I urge you to suspend the vote on this proposal and initiate a full investigation. The stability of our galaxy is at stake. President Athon, visibly shaken by the revelations, nodded solemnly. Lieutenant Jensen's request is reasonable. We will adjourn and reconvene once the investigation committee has examined all evidence. Ambassador Krell, you and your associates are hereby suspended from council duties pending the outcome. Krell, now isolated, shot a venomous look towards Maya but said nothing. He knew his position was precarious. As the delegates filed out of the chamber, Maya's allies approached her, offering quiet congratulations and acknowledging her courage. Zaner, who had watched the proceedings with his typical impassivity, nodded slightly in her direction, a gesture of respect from the Xanatharian. Maya felt a mix of relief and apprehension. She had played her part, but the game was far from over. The investigation would be contentious, likely dangerous. As the delegates dispersed, Maya's comlink buzzed. It was Commander Rios. "Excellent work, Maya. You've handled the situation with the precision of a chess master. But be cautious, Krell will not go down quietly." "I'm aware, Commander. We'll be ready. For now, we've struck a significant blow against corruption. It's a win for the entire Council, not just for Earth." As Maya left the chamber, the weight of her actions settled upon her. She had ignited a fire that could either cleanse the Council of its corruption or engulf it in further conflict. But one thing was clear: she had altered the course of galactic diplomacy, and there was no turning back. Her resolve hardened. She would see this through, for peace, for justice, and for the galaxy. In the tense aftermath of the Council session, the investigation into Ambassador Krell and his associates moved swiftly. Maya Jensen, though not officially part of the investigative committee, remained a key figure in coordinating the collection of additional evidence and securing testimonies from various sources. As days turned into weeks, the corridors of the Aeon Citadel, once buzzing with political maneuvers and diplomatic exchanges, were now filled with an air of cautious anticipation. Many council members approached Maya, some offering support, others seeking reassurances that the shake-up would not destabilize the council's functions. Maya worked closely with President Athon's appointed investigators, ensuring that all data was meticulously reviewed. During one such meeting, a breakthrough came. An anonymous source provided a recording that captured Krell discussing the manipulation of council policies to initiate conflict at the border sectors. "This is the smoking gun we needed," Maya told the committee, playing the recording. The clarity of Krell's voice, plotting the exploitation of the council's influence for personal gain, left the room in stunned silence. With this evidence, the committee was ready to present its findings to the council. Maya, though not required to speak, was asked to attend as a key witness. Before the session, Commander Rios contacted her again. "Maya, you've done more than just expose a conspiracy. You've inspired a wave of transparency initiatives across the sectors. Whatever happens today, know that you've already changed the council for the better," Rios said, her voice filled with a mix of pride and concern. "Thank you, Commander. It's been a challenging journey, but one I hope will lead to lasting peace and reform," Maya responded, feeling the weight of her actions. In the council chamber, the atmosphere was markedly different from the usual decorousness. Delegates gathered, whispering among themselves, aware that the day's proceedings would be historic. As the investigative committee presented its findings, the evidence was overwhelming. Videos, financial records, communications, all painting a clear picture of corruption and manipulation. When it was Maya's turn to speak, she stood, her presence commanding the room. "Members of the council, what we have uncovered goes beyond mere policy manipulation. This was an orchestrated attempt to undermine the very principles that hold our galaxy together. It is not just a betrayal of the Council but of every species and individual we represent." Her words resonated, echoing off the chamber walls, and reaching every delegate's conscience. As she concluded, she added, "This is an opportunity for us all. An opportunity to rebuild trust, to fortify our processes, and ensure that no individual or group can ever wield the Council's power for personal gain again." The response was palpable. Many delegates nodded, some visibly moved by her sincerity and the gravity of the situation. The Council voted unanimously to strip Krell and his associates of their positions and privileges. Furthermore, they approved a series of reforms, including the establishment of an oversight body, with Maya invited to lead the initiative. As the session adjourned, delegates approached Maya, thanking her for her courage and integrity. Even some of her former skeptics expressed admiration for her steadfastness in navigating such a treacherous path. Outside the chamber, as the news holographs across the galaxy broadcasted the Council's decision and the steps toward reform, Maya felt a brief moment of peace. But her thoughts were interrupted by Zayner, who approached with his usual composed demeanor. "Lieutenant Jensen, your actions have indeed shifted the tides. However, the journey ahead will be fraught with challenges. If you need an ally, remember that Xanathar values stability. Zaner offered, his tone suggesting not just diplomatic formality, but a genuine offer of support. Thank you, Ambassador. I will certainly keep that in mind, Maya replied, appreciating the complex web of alliances and enmities that her actions had affected. As Maya left the council building, the stars above the Aeon Citadel seemed to shine a little brighter. She knew the road ahead would be challenging. Reforms were just the beginning, and the real work of maintaining peace and justice in a galaxy full of diverse and often conflicting interests was an ongoing struggle. Yet, for the first time in a long while, Maya felt hopeful about the future. Her communicator beeped with a message from Commander Rios. Well done, Maya. Let's ensure this new era is one of enduring peace. Ready when you are to start the next chapter. Maya smiled faintly, energized by the prospect of leading the change. Ready as I'll ever be, she murmured to herself, stepping into the new role not just as a diplomat but as a guardian of galactic integrity. As the Citadel's doors closed behind her, the echoes of her steps were a testament to her resolved journey ahead, leading the way towards a more transparent and just council. Maya stepped into the dimly lit war room, a private chamber deep within the Aeon Citadel, where only the most urgent and classified discussions took place. The council had acted decisively against Krell, but the work was far from over. The conspiracy had deeper roots, and Maya knew that cutting off the head was not enough to dismantle the machine that had been operating beneath the council's nose for years. Seated around the table were representatives from the coalition that had backed her in exposing Krell. Zaner was there, flanked by two of his kind, their expressions unreadable as always. Ambassador Threll from Varnus watched her with cautious approval, and a handful of others, some from the neutral factions, some from species long ignored in council politics, waited in silence. Maya took a seat, scanning the room, knowing she was among allies but not necessarily friends. We stopped one piece of the machine, she began, her voice steady. But we all know Krell wasn't working alone. The corruption that's been rotting the council for years doesn't vanish overnight. Threll leaned forward, his golden eyes narrowing. And what do you propose, Jensen? A full-scale purge of the council? That would be seen as an Earth-led coup. If we start pointing fingers without solid proof, we risk turning allies into enemies. I'm not interested in purges, Ambassador, Maya replied coolly. But I won't sit back and let the same power-hungry forces regroup in the shadows while we congratulate ourselves on a partial victory. Zaner's voice was calm but firm. Lieutenant Jensen, you have the Council's attention now. The question is, do you intend to lead or do you intend to fight? Maya met his gaze without flinching. I intend to ensure this Council serves its purpose. If that means leading, I'll lead. If that means fighting, I'll fight. But we need to act before the next crisis is orchestrated. We don't just need to clean up the mess, we need to change the way this place operates. Silence hung in the air for a moment before one of the neutral delegates, a small, amphibian-like being named Ezo, spoke. The council was built on the assumption that diplomacy and politics would resolve all conflicts, but diplomacy has been used as a weapon. The moment we take action, others will accuse us of disrupting the balance. The balance is already disrupted, Maya countered. Do you think this was the first time Krell and his allies tried something like this? No. This is just the first time they got caught. Threll exhaled, rubbing his temples. You're not wrong. But restructuring the council isn't something we can force overnight. We don't need to force it, Maya said. We need to expose the mechanisms of corruption, publicly. The only reason Krell's plan failed was because people saw the truth before it was too late. The more light we shine on these dealings, the harder it becomes for conspirators to operate. We need systemic transparency. Zaner nodded slightly. And what do you propose as a first step? Maya pulled up her data slate, displaying a revised set of protocols. We use the same channels that nearly destroyed the council to rebuild it. A new council directive, real-time documentation of interspecies negotiations, automated record-keeping on all military and trade agreements, and an independent body that has oversight on backroom dealings. Thrall let out a dry chuckle. You want to make the council accountable? Jensen, you're either incredibly naive or dangerously idealistic. Maya didn't blink. Maybe both. But it's the only way forward. The moment people start seeing their leaders held accountable, it forces change. Ezzo shifted uncomfortably. And if the remaining conspirators retaliate? They will, Maya admitted. That's why we act fast. We pass this before they have time to mount a counterstrike. The room fell into a heavy silence again. Then Zayner spoke. You have my support. One by one, the others nodded in agreement. Even Thrall, despite his skepticism, gave a reluctant smirk. Well, if nothing else, Jensen, you're certainly making this place more interesting. Maya didn't smile. She knew what this meant. The battle wasn't over. It was just evolving into a new kind of war. But this time, she wasn't standing alone. The council would change. Or it would burn.